Most people believe that anger is something that happens to them, as if it is a storm that blows in without warning and they have no choice but to get wet. They say things like, "He made me angry," or "She pushed my buttons," or "That situation triggered me." And every time they say these words, they hand over the keys to their inner world to every stranger, every rude comment, every traffic jam, every disappointed expectation. You have been doing this your whole life without even realizing it. You walk around like a house with no doors, letting anyone and anything walk right in and set up camp inside your mind. That ends now. The first thing you need to understand is that anger is not your enemy. This is where most self-help advice gets it completely wrong. They tell you to suppress your anger, to breathe deeply, to walk away, to count backwards from 10. But suppression is not strength. It is just another form of slavery. When you suppress anger, you are not mastering it. You are pushing it down into your body where it rots and ferments and waits. And then one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day that suppressed anger explodes, and when it does, it takes everything with it. Your relationships, your reputation, your peace. So forget suppression. Forget counting to 10. That is advice for children. What we are talking about today is something completely different. We are talking about understanding anger so deeply that it never has a reason to rise in the first place. Imagine a tree with deep roots. A storm comes, the wind howls, the rain crashes. But the tree does not fall, not because it fights the wind, not because it suppresses its movement, but because its roots go so deep that the wind is irrelevant. That is what we are building here. Roots, not walls. Not suppression, roots. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men to ever live, wrote something that most people read, but few truly understand. He said that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Most people read that and nod their heads and say, yes, that sounds wise. But then they go right back to blaming the world for how they feel. They do not realize that Marcus Aurelius was not offering philosophy as decoration. He was offering a survival manual. He was an emperor. He had enemies. He had people who wanted him dead. He had lies spread about him daily. He had a court full of snakes and betrayers, and yet he wrote about peace. Not because his life was easy, because his mind was trained. You have been trained in the opposite direction. From the moment you were born, you were trained to react. When you cried as a baby, someone came. When you threw a tantrum, someone gave you attention. When you got angry, the world moved to accommodate you. You learned that your emotions are tools to get what you want. And then you grew up, and the world stopped accommodating you. But your brain never got the memo. So now you walk around as an adult with a child nervous system, getting angry when things do not go your way, getting offended when someone does not treat you the way you think you deserve, getting triggered by a text message, by a tone of voice, by a look across the room. Look at what you are doing. You are giving strangers the power to dictate your inner state. Someone you will never see again cuts you off in traffic, and you carry that anger for hours. Someone who does not even know your name leaves a rude comment, and you let it ruin your morning. Someone who is struggling with their own pain, their own wounds, their own unexamined life, says something sharp, and you let it live rent-free in your head for days. This is madness, and you have been told it is normal. Stoicism is not about becoming a robot. This is another lie people tell because they do not understand. Stoicism is not about feeling nothing. It is about being ruled by nothing. There is a massive difference. A Stoic feels anger. He feels it rising in his chest. He feels the heat behind his eyes. He feels the urge to speak, to strike, to defend, to destroy. But he does not obey that urge. He watches it. He examines it. He asks where it came from. He asks if acting on it will serve his values. And then he chooses. That is the part most people never experience. Choice. Real choice. Not the illusion of choice where you react automatically and then convince yourself you chose to react. Actual conscious, deliberate choice. To get to that level, you have to understand what anger actually is. Anger is not a primary emotion. This is crucial. Anger is almost always a secondary emotion. It is a mask. Beneath almost every single instance of anger, you will find something else. Fear, hurt, shame, insecurity, rejection, disappointment, betrayal, anger rises to protect you from feeling these things. It is a defense mechanism. Your brain would rather feel angry than feel vulnerable. Anger gives you energy. It gives you a target. It gives you someone to blame. The softer emotions underneath, they do not give you those things. They ask you to sit with discomfort. They ask you to be still. They ask you to feel small, and your ego hates that. So your ego manufactures anger. It pulls it out of thin air and dresses it up as righteousness. You tell yourself you are angry because they were wrong. You tell yourself you are angry because justice demands it. But if you are honest, really honest, you will see that the anger is protecting something fragile underneath. Someone does not invite you to an event. You feel angry, but underneath that anger is hurt. You wanted to be included. Their exclusion made you feel invisible. Someone criticizes your work. You feel angry, but underneath that anger is fear. Fear that they might be right. Fear that you are not as good as you pretend to be. Someone ignores your message. You feel angry, but underneath that anger is abandonment, an old wound from somewhere in your past that taught you that silence means rejection. Until you are willing to sit with what is underneath the anger, you will never be free of it. You can suppress it, you can meditate, you can breathe, you can walk away, but it will keep coming back because the wound underneath has not been healed. You are just putting a bandage on a broken bone. This is why most people stay angry their whole lives. They never go underneath. They treat the anger itself as the problem. But the anger is just a symptom. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the greatest Stoic teachers in history, said that people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Think about that. It is not the event. It is your interpretation of the event. Someone calls you a fool. One person hears that and laughs, because they know who they are, and a stranger's opinion means nothing. Another person hears the same word and spirals into self-doubt and rage and defensiveness. The word was identical. The event was identical. The difference was not in the word. The difference was in what the word touched inside each person. You are not angry about what they said. You are angry about what you believe their words mean about you. And what you believe their words mean about you comes from somewhere. It comes from every story you have ever been told about yourself. It comes from every rejection you have ever experienced. It comes from every moment someone made you feel small or unseen or unworthy. The person standing in front of you did not create those wounds. They just bumped into them. And instead of saying, "Ouch, that hurt," because something old is still tender, you point at them and say, "How dare you?" You blame them for the pain of a wound they did not cause. This is the great shift. The moment you stop asking, "Why are they like this?" and start asking, "Why does this bother me so much?" everything changes. You stop being a victim of the world and you start becoming a student of yourself. Every trigger becomes a teacher. Every insult becomes an invitation to look inward. Every moment that used to ruin your day becomes a chance to heal something that has been broken for years. Let me give you a practical way to do this. The next time you feel anger rising, do not act. Do not speak. Do not type. Do not send that message. Just freeze. And ask yourself one question. What am I afraid of right now? Not what are they doing wrong? Not how dare they? What am I afraid of? The answer will surprise you. I am afraid of being disrespected. I am afraid of being abandoned. I am afraid of being wrong. I am afraid of being seen as weak. I am afraid of losing control. I am afraid of being humiliated. I am afraid that they are right about me. Under every anger is a fear. Name the fear and the anger begins to dissolve. Not because you suppressed it, because you understood it. Once you understand what you are actually afraid of, you can do something about it. Most of the time the fear is irrational. You are afraid of being disrespected by someone whose respect does not matter. You are afraid of being abandoned by someone who was never truly there. You are afraid of being wrong about something that will not matter in a year or even a week. The fear loses its power when you hold it up to the light. It is like a shadow. In the dark, it looks like a monster, but turn on the lamp and you see it is just a coat on a hook. Now here is where Stoicism gives you something even deeper than just managing your reactions. Stoicism gives you a framework for living that makes most triggers irrelevant before they even appear. Because if your self-worth does not depend on what anyone thinks of you, then no insult can touch you. If your peace does not depend on people treating you a certain way, then no disappointment can shake you. If your identity is not tied to being right, then no argument can trap you. This is the real work, not learning how to calm down after you are already angry. That is like learning how to put out fires instead of learning how to stop setting them. The real work is building an inner world so solid, so grounded, so complete that most things that bother other people do not even register. You still see the insult. You still hear the sarcasm. You still notice the disrespect. But it does not enter you. It touches the surface and falls away like water on glass. How do you build this? You build it by deciding, consciously and repeatedly, what matters and what does not. Most people have never made this decision. They have let the world decide for them. They react to everything. Every comment matters. Every opinion matters. Every slight matters. They live in a state of constant low-level emergency. Their nervous system is fried. Their attention is scattered. Their peace is a distant memory. You have to draw a line. You have to decide that certain things will simply not be allowed to enter your inner world. This is not denial. This is discernment. A doctor does not treat every patient who walks through the door. He triages. He decides what is an emergency and what can wait and what requires no action at all. You have to do the same with your emotional energy. Most things do not require a response. Most comments do not need a reply. Most opinions do not need to be considered. Most insults do not need to be avenged. They are noise. They are static. They are the world doing what the world does. Your power is in deciding what you let in. Imagine your mind is a fortress. It has gates. For years, you have left those gates wide open. Anyone and anything could walk right in. A stranger says something rude and there it is inside your fortress, setting fires. A coworker gives you a look and there it is inside your fortress, poisoning the well. A loved one forgets to call and there it is inside your fortress, spreading doubt. You have been living in a fortress with no walls. It is time to close the gates. But closing the gates does not mean building walls so thick that you feel nothing. That is not strength. That is numbness. Closing the gates means you become the gatekeeper. You decide what enters. You decide what stays. You have a choice. You have always had a choice. You just forgot. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Think about that. Your thoughts are dye, and you are the fabric. Every time you let a thought in, it stains you. Every time you replay an insult, you are dipping yourself in that color again and again. Every time you rehearse an argument in your head, you are painting yourself darker. You are not solving anything. You are just staining your own soul. Stop rehearsing. Stop replaying. Stop giving screen time to conversations that existed only in your head. The other person is not even thinking about you. They moved on. They forgot. They are living their life. And you are in the basement of your mind, replaying the same loop, dyeing yourself red with anger over something that is already dead. This is not strength. This is self-torture. Letting go is not weakness. Letting go is the recognition that you have better things to do with your energy. You have goals. You have people who love you. You have a life to build, and that tiny insult, that small disrespect, that momentary slight, it does not deserve another second of your attention. You are not forgiving them for their sake. You are letting go for your own sake. You are choosing peace over being right. You are choosing freedom over revenge. You are choosing your future over your past. The Stoics had a beautiful practice called the view from above. They would imagine themselves floating up above the earth, looking down at everything from a great height. From up there, the things that felt so massive down here looked tiny. The argument that consumed your day looked like a small blip. The person who insulted you looked like a speck. The problem that felt like the end of the world looked like nothing at all. You can do this without leaving your chair. Zoom out. Will this matter in a year? In a month? In a week? If the answer is no, then why are you giving it your energy right now? You are pouring your limited time and attention into something that will be forgotten before the seasons change. Meanwhile, the things that actually matter, your health, your family, your purpose, they wait. They have always waited. And you keep them waiting because you are busy being angry about nothing. There is another layer to this that most people never reach. The person angering you, the one who cut you off, the one who spoke rudely, the one who betrayed your trust, they are not your enemy. They are a mirror. They are showing you something about yourself. Not because they are wise, because every interaction is a reflection. When someone offends you easily, it means you have a fragile self-image that needs constant defending. When someone can disturb your peace with a single sentence, it means your peace was never truly yours. It was borrowed from circumstances. This is hard to hear. I know, but it is the truth. And the truth is the only thing that sets you free. You have been telling yourself that your anger is justified, that they were wrong, that you have every right to be upset, and maybe you do. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe they were unfair. Maybe they broke a promise or crossed a line. But your anger is still your responsibility. Their actions are their karma. Your reaction is yours, and no amount of justification changes. The fact that your anger is hurting you more than it is hurting them. Think about the last time you were truly angry at someone. Did your anger change their behavior? Did it make them apologize? Did it make them see the error of their ways? Or did it just make you miserable? Did it steal your sleep? Did it ruin your appetite? Did it poison your interactions with other people who had nothing to do with it? Your anger punishes you. That is the cruel joke. You think you are holding on to anger because it is a weapon against them. But you are holding a blade and the blade is facing you. Every time you clench it, you bleed. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic writers, wrote a whole book on anger. In it, he said that anger is the most hideous and frenzied of all emotions. He said that anger is temporary madness. And he was right. When you are angry, you are not yourself. You say things you do not mean. You do things you regret. You burn bridges that took years to build. And for what? For the fleeting satisfaction of making someone else feel as bad as you feel. That is not strength. That is a child throwing a tantrum. And you have been doing it as an adult. The good news is that you can change. Not by trying harder, not by white-knuckling your way through every trigger, but by understanding. Understanding is the key. When you understand why you get angry, when you understand what is underneath it, when you understand that the other person is almost always acting from their own pain, and not from a desire to hurt you, the anger softens. It does not disappear overnight, but it softens, and over time, with practice, it softens so much that it rarely rises at all. Imagine going through your entire day without getting angry once. Someone cuts you off, you let them go. Someone says something rude, you let it pass. Someone disappoints you, you adjust. Not because you're a doormat, because you have better things to do with your energy. Because your peace is more valuable than their approval. Because you have finally realized that most battles are not worth fighting, and the ones that are worth fighting do not require anger. They require clarity and courage and action. Anger is almost never the right tool. Look at the most respected people you know, the ones who have real power, not the fake power of shouting and dominating. The ones who walk into a room and everyone feels calmer just because they are there. Are they angry people? Do they fly off the handle? Do they take everything personally? No, they are steady. They are grounded. They are like deep water. The surface might ripple, but the depths remain still. That is what you are aiming for. Not to be dead inside, to be so alive and so centered that nothing external can throw you off. You can reach this state. It is not reserved for monks or philosophers or people with special brains. It is available to anyone willing to do the work, and the work is simple. It is not easy, but it is simple. Watch your mind. Notice when anger starts to rise. Do not judge it. Do not suppress it. Just notice it. Say to yourself, anger is rising. That small act of labeling pulls you out of the emotion and into observation. You are no longer in the river being swept away. You are on the bank watching the water flow. Once you can watch your anger without being consumed by it, you have a choice. You can choose to let it go. Not because you are avoiding it, because you have seen it for what it is. A wave of energy that will pass whether you hold on to it or not. Holding on to it is like grabbing a hot coal and expecting the other person to get burned. You are the one holding the coal. You are the one burning. Drop it. Dropping it does not mean you approve of what they did. It does not mean you are weak. It means you are smart enough to know that carrying anger is carrying poison, and you have better things to do with your hands than hold poison. There's one more piece to this puzzle. The deepest piece. The piece that transforms you from someone who manages anger into someone who is rarely angry at all. That piece is understanding that you are not the center of the world. Most anger comes from a place of ego, from the belief that your needs, your feelings, your schedule, your opinions are more important than everyone else's. When someone does not treat you the way you think you deserve, you get angry because your ego feels slighted. But who told you that you deserve special treatment? Who told you that the world owes you anything at all? The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature. And nature, real nature, is indifferent to your feelings. The sun does not rise because you are ready. The rain does not fall to ruin your plans. The universe does not conspire against you. It simply is. And when you stop demanding that reality conform to your preferences, you stop being angry at reality. This is not resignation. This is liberation. You are free to respond to what is, instead of wasting energy fighting what should have been. Most of your anger is not about what happened. It is about what you think should have happened instead. You expected respect and got rudeness. You expected appreciation and got silence. You expected loyalty and got betrayal. The gap between expectation and reality is where anger lives. Close the gap and you close the anger. How do you close the gap? By holding your expectations loosely. By recognizing that your expectations are your own creation and the world never agreed to them. By accepting that people will be who they are, not who you want them to be. And by building your peace on something stronger than conditions. Something that does not depend on people behaving a certain way. Something that does not depend on life being easy. Something that depends only on you. That something is your character, your values, your ability to choose your response. No one can take those from you. A slave has those. An emperor has those. You have those. Right now, in this moment, you have the ability to choose how you respond to whatever is happening. That is your superpower, and you have been giving it away for free. Stop giving it away. Take it back. Take it back today. Take it back in this conversation. Take it back the next time someone tries to pull you into their drama. Take it back when the world tries to tell you that you should be angry about something. You get to decide. You have always gotten to decide. You just forgot. From now on, when anger rises, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself if this situation will matter tomorrow. Ask yourself if your anger will improve the situation or make it worse. Ask yourself what you are really afraid of. Ask yourself if holding on to this anger serves the person you want to become. And then choose. Choose peace. Choose clarity. Choose yourself. Not because you are weak, because you are strong enough to walk away from battles that do not matter. Because you are wise enough to know that most fights are not worth winning. Because you are free enough to refuse the invitation to suffer. And here's the final truth, the one that changes everything when you really feel it. You are going to die, not someday. Today could be the day. Tomorrow could be the day. The only moment you actually have is this one, and you are spending it being angry about something that will not matter at your funeral. On your deathbed Will you wish you had held on to that grudge longer? Will you wish you had been more angry? Will you wish you had spent more time replaying insults in your head? No, you will wish you had let it all go. You will wish you had loved more and fought less. You will wish you had spent your precious moments on earth in peace instead of in war. But you do not have to wait until your deathbed to realize this. You can realize it right now. Every time you choose anger, you choose to spend a piece of your life on something that gives nothing back. Every time you choose peace, you invest that same piece of life into something that grows. Your peace grows. Your joy grows. Your capacity to love grows. Your ability to be present for the people who actually matter grows. Choose wisely, because you do not have infinite moments. Every moment you spend angry is a moment you will never get back. And the person who made you angry, they are probably not thinking about you at all. They are living their life. They are eating dinner. They are laughing with their friends. They are sleeping peacefully. And you are lying awake, replaying the moment, poisoning your own body with cortisol, aging yourself faster, pushing away the people who love you, all because you cannot let go of something that has already passed. Let it pass. Let it all pass. The insults, the betrayals, the disappointments, the expectations that were not met, the apologies you never received, the justice you never got. Let it all pass. Not because it did not hurt, because holding on to it hurts more, and you have been hurt enough. You do not need to keep hurting yourself. From this moment forward, be the gatekeeper of your own mind. Let in what serves you. Keep out what does not. You have the power. You have always had the power. Now use it. Subscribe if you are ready to walk this path with us. Not because you need my permission, because you recognize that the person you are becoming is worth the work, and every step you take inward is a step toward freedom. Freedom from anger, freedom from reaction, freedom from the smallness of a life lived at the mercy of every passing trigger. You are bigger than that. You always were. Now live like it.